Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be kind of a quick one. Sorry it's running late today. It's been kind of a crazy day, but it's a question that I received on my last video, and it says, how do you get over the fact in your head, mind, and heart of the good years of your life that you have lost and your hopes and dreams of that life? How do you deal with it in your head to be able to start again? Okay, this is really common. This is something that really happens a lot. And I think it's tougher whenever you've been in a relationship for a really long time. For me personally, I didn't necessarily feel that because I was just so grateful to get out of it that the way I wrap my head around it is, thank God I didn't spend the rest of my life in this situation. It was one of those things where that I was looking at it for me personally that, holy crap. I mean, had this not changed, had the circumstances not arrived to the point to break free from this, I absolutely could have saw myself in that. And that's the first part of this answer. And I'm going to follow me on this because there's a second part to this that's kind of important. But the first part of this is looking at it from that position, looking at it from not that what you've lost, but what you've gained, right? So like if you are entering this situation at 40 or 50, you need to be thinking about it in the context of, thank God it's not 60, 70, 80, right? I mean, that you still have life ahead of you. Well, even if you're 60, 70, 80, I mean, but that you don't spend your entire life in this situation and never break free from it. Okay. So now here's the other part about this, and I was actually talking to someone about something similar, and a video I had made before kind of covers this, but it's okay to feel how you feel, right? And to be perfectly honest, I've known a lot of people that have this question, and oftentimes let me grab my drink before it falls. Oftentimes it's women who have that. They're looking at it going, holy crap, I've given 10, 20 years to this person. I now see that it's a disaster. And on top of coping with the disaster that you're faced with right now, you're looking at it and you're feeling, bad about the time that you've lost. You have every right to be angry about the time that you've lost. You have every right to be angry about everything. The fact that you were lied to, emotionally manipulated, strung along, however you want to talk about it. And you have to process that. You can't ignore it. You can't just put it in a box and let it go. You have to work through it. You you have to confront it head on. If you're really struggling with this, then, seek out a professional therapist to help you deal with it. Or, hypnosis files. I mean, those actually really help me. I'll link those in the description. You have to process it because if you don't, right? If you put it in a box and say, okay, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about the fact that I just threw 2 decades away. I'm just going to pretend like today's a new day. And the good part is that if you work on it, you'll get to that point. But what you'll notice is if you haven't worked on it, things will flare up and cause that emotional flashback, that triggered response as a result. Guys, let me just say this. You so owe it to yourself to work through the emotional pain on this. If you don't, you won't escape it. You can hide from it, but you won't escape it. And I did that myself. I mean, in the beginning parts of this, once the divorce was final and things were relatively calm, the ex thought that she won and was, happy ignoring me and ghosting me. And I was like, okay, cool, things are better. I've gone through this. I can start with the next phase of my life. And I thought I had healed from everything, but in fact I hadn't. So as soon as everything flared back up and she took her bony little finger and boop, started poking it in my eye, I had to confront and deal with, I couldn't hide from anymore, all those feelings. Feelings of betrayal, feelings of anger, feelings of loss, feelings of lost time. And it gets you, I mean, effectively it gets you nowhere. Okay, so here's the reality of it. And there's a couple points that I wanted to make on this. I mean, I'll state the obvious first. There's nothing we can do to get the time back. You know, I wish I could. I wish I could hit the button, reset the clock, and be like, holy crap, I'm 19 again, and I know everything I know today, and I know not the decisions not to make, and I know the mistakes not to make, and I can make all the right calls, and my life will go a different path. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? But it doesn't, it's a pipe dream. We can't do that. So you have to come to terms with it, and you have to ultimately accept it. Again, it's a process to get there. You have to work through it. It took me a few years, like 3 years, to really kind of get to the point where I could take my life back. Now, the other part of this, or the second part, potentially the good part, a part that might be able to help you deal with this, is your ex, your narcissistic ex, wants to destroy you, wants you to constantly be thinking about them, wants you to be in the corner, a disheveled mess, never able to recuperate, never able to recover, never able to enjoy any part of life. They want you to be miserable. And the reason they want you to be miserable for most part is they want to think in their mind that they were the best thing that ever happened to them, that you can't cope without them, that if they're playing you as the abuser, that you're getting what you deserve. And they're winning when you're in that situation. The flip side to it is that if you can take your life back, make your peace with it, say, you know what, I'm done thinking about you. I'm done with you having any space in my mind or in my heart, then they don't have any power over you anymore. Now, as I mentioned, I don't never really thought about it like, oh my God, I lost, the best part of my life to this person, which effectively I did, right? I mean, my best earning years, time to have a family and pick the right person and everything. I mean, all that time's gone. I mean, I can't hit the reset button. I'm too old now. I mean, I can't, well, I guess biologically I'm not too old, but things are, it ain't happening. But anyways, especially after what I've been through, I would absolutely not want to enter into another relationship, get married, or not even say married, but have kids to go through this again. I couldn't imagine going through this nightmare and getting out of it at 70 or 80, right? So, if I was younger, if this would have happened in my late 20s or something, then hitting the reset button is possible. The thing is the longer that we stay in that mindset, the longer you stay in that mindset to where you're like, oh my God, they've ruined my life. They've taken everything from me. Everything's horrific. And rightfully so. If you're feeling that way right now, you're perfectly valid to feel that way. Somebody might say you need to let it go, but until somebody's walked a mile in your shoes, they have no business to say that. Yes, there's some underlying truth to that, right? Because you need to get to the point that they don't have hold of your life anymore, and that you can start living your life and enjoying life and minimizing the impact that they have on it. So again, to roll that in, what I'm saying is that if you can get to the point where you can think, you know what, they've taken all the time that they're getting from me. They got, in my situation, she got 22 years, and it took me longer, right? So it's been longer, but let's just say, if at that time I would have been able to say, okay, you know what, you've done all these different things. That was my life. Today I'm picking up. And to be perfectly honest, that's kind of the way I approached it when I first, and just because I was talking to someone the other day, they didn't remember this, but I'm the one who left, right? I'm the one who said, okay, I'm done. And I did it kind of quickly. It wasn't like a planned thing. I didn't have a fallback plan. I'm just like, I can't live in this lie anymore. So initially I was actually, because I didn't understand what I was dealing with, but I was actually pretty happy. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with this chaos anymore. I can work on my relationship with my kids unimpacted, uninterrupted, whatever the word is. I can work on my relationship with my kids. Part of the reason is because I remember a couple of times my ex, when I had done stuff that's like, how dare you have a good time with the kids? I took one of the kids to a doctor's appointment, and after the appointment, because she was sick, my daughter was sick, we went to Denny's and got something to eat and got a nice hot fudge sundae and tried to make the most of it. Texted the wife at the time and got back and just got frickin' flambéed. How dare you have a good time and make this into a special event? And I'm thinking to myself, I can do all this now, right? I don't have to deal with this craziness anymore. Problem is, I didn't realize what I was dealing with. So, when the narcissistic flying monkeys and the false allegations and the smear campaign and all that stuff started, it just blew my mind, because I couldn't comprehend that was really the person that I was married to. So getting back to it, getting to the point to say, they had their time. They took what they took. I'm going to get myself back, and they're not going to get any more. And unfortunately, whenever you think about it, when you think about it in the context of, like, for this particular person saying, I've lost all this time, or in my situation, I've lost this time and I've lost my retirement, I've lost my retirement savings, and I've lost my health, right? I mean, I used to be really angry about that, thinking, gee, holy cow, I'm going to be 50 some odd years old before I get my life back and I can start doing something. And what kind of life is that going to be? I'm probably going to be, I got a bad back, I got diabetes, I got medical issues, and am I going to be able to do anything? And I was really angry about that for a long time. So my point is, you're justified in feeling that way. You're justified in having that anger and those emotions and just adding that onto it. The reality is, they don't deserve another second of your time. So try to think of it along those lines. Try to think of it, it's like, okay, they've burned, whatever the time is, they burned X or N. They burned, the number of years, whatever it is. I don't care if it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, like in my situation. The thing is you want to get to the point that you take your life back, you start living your life, you don't have them negatively affecting you anymore. And what I'll tell you is as you get to that point, those thoughts start going away. And it starts going away whenever you make your peace with it. You work through the anger, the bitterness, the betrayal. I did it with therapy and I did it with hypnosis. I even tried EMDR to try to get over some of the trauma. It was just too much for me at the time. And it started minimizing the effects and the impact of it. Then what happens is when you start to realize that they don't have control over your emotions anymore, you start feeling better. And then what you realize, and I've talked about this a lot, is you re-baseline your life, right? And that's what I had to do. It's like, hey, I was up here, my career and my finances and my retirement, my plan. Well, I had to start over. And actually, it might even been completely down here. And then slowly just started realizing, hey, you know what? Down here is not so bad. I'm doing okay. I can go do some things. I can surround myself with good people. I can go do things that I want to do. And it starts feeling better. Now what'll happen is that the ex more than likely will see that you're moving on and that you're getting better, and they're going to take the rug and they're going to try to rip it out from underneath you. And a lot of times what happens is whenever you're at this level and they do that, you crash below. You crash below, underneath the thing, and then you have to slowly build back up again. And I experienced that as well. And you just get to the point where you're like, okay, you know what? I can hunker down. I got my plan. I know my time. I mean, you guys have watched my videos. I've been in a pretty good mood for the last couple of years. Yeah, there's times that I get a little stressed here and there, but for the most part, I'm pretty much enjoying life. And, and now I'm getting, farther down the road where the level of impact that the ex could potentially have is a lot, is diminished. I mean, there's always something they could do, right? I mean, until it's done with family court and they're no longer in charge or in control of this process. I mean, there's always that risk. But, my understanding is as soon as it's done, family court stops. This moves into just the alimony that I'm ordered to pay for the rest of my life until she gets married. And that's it. And I'm like, you know what? I can look at it. I can see some positive on there. I've let go of the anger and the bitterness about not being able to live where I want to live, or buy the house I want to buy, or buy some of the toys that I want to buy, or the vehicles I want to get and stuff like that. But I see a path. I've been able to do some things, and I've been able to find my peace through it. And that means that it doesn't affect me anymore. That BS or where I'm at, I mean, that baseline that got reset, I've reacclimated to it. I'm okay with it. And I'm more focused on how can I enjoy my life. I'm focused on how can I help you achieve that as well, to get to the point where you're not circling that, in that spiral to hell that we all have to go through, and get your life back. One of the things that I really like getting from people, and it seems to happen quite a bit, is people say how this channel has affected their lives, how it's affected their perspective, and how it's improved things. And that's the case. And once this freaking pandemic is over and the lockdown's over and I can go do something like go camping, or that's what I want to do. I want to go up in the woods. I want to look at a river or a lake, probably a river first, or a waterfall. I've seen some cool waterfalls that are around here that I haven't personally seen really yet. And a buddy of mine's been sending me pictures up in Northern California of some places he's going that's where I want it. I want to be able to take a weekend and drive up there, have an experience, record it for my second channel, and have some fun. And not be thinking about all the crap that I've been through. Because I don't want her, my ex, and I don't want your ex to take any more of your time, any more of that space in your head and in your heart. They don't deserve it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I got to say on that. So don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell to get notifications so YouTube will actually tell you when videos post. If you want to become a member of the channel and support what I'm doing here, you can do that down below. Try to have a good weekend, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.